The conditions of your life are not a barrier to your life. The conditions of your life are actually your life. Sawaki Roshi was really fond of saying, Zazen is good for nothing. And it's kind of a jarring thing to hear from a Zen master who spent his entire life devoted to Zazen. And the meaning behind that is that, Zazen, a whole lifetime of it, is not going to allow you to escape your life and the conditions of your life. In fact, if anything, you'll become more and more intimate with the conditions of your life. Case 22 of the Blue Cliff record kind of points to the same idea that I think Sawaki Roshi, and I hesitate to say idea because it's not an idea, it's reality he's pointing towards. So a monk asked Sui Ling, what is the meaning of the patriarchs coming from the West? So before I go further, a lot of the koans, there's many koans where a monk asks a question like that. What's the meaning of the patriarchs coming from the West? And the patriarch who came from the West is Bodhidharma. So Bodhidharma being the monk who brought Zen from India to China. So this is another way of saying, what is the meaning of Zen, or what's the ultimate truth? So monk asks, what is the meaning of the patriarchs coming from the West? And Sui Lin, his teacher, says, sitting for a long time becomes toilsome. If a master who's sat for countless periods of zazen, has sat through knee pain and back pain and probably illness and discouragement and encouragement and boredom and good conditions and bad conditions. And so the answer he gives this monk about the ultimate truth of reality is zazen's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes, literally. And zazen is a really wonderful activity to practice not running away from the conditions of your life, not making a barrier into the conditions of your life. Because there's an immediate feedback loop, immediate sense of like what happens when you make a barrier out of the conditions of your life. So, if there's physical discomfort and you notice that you're getting frustrated with that in zazen, immediately you can start to notice the amplification of the suffering around that. And if you just kind of stop struggling and allow that to be part of your practice, then you can just like live your life on the cushion in that moment with that feeling. And sometimes it's subtle. You might just like notice a tension in your back and your mind feels closed. And maybe there's a thought that you've grabbed onto and you're sort of like working on it really hard. It's a problem or something that you have to deal with. And then you can notice, oh, I'm making a barrier out of this particular circumstance in my life. And then you can see if you can sort of let go of that. No amount of practice will allow any of us to escape the reality of cause and effect and the circumstances of our lives. And that's really the gift, I think, of our practice, is that it offers us a way in, not a way out, a way into our lives, a way into, as Zorba the Greek said, the full catastrophe. And sometimes when we when we can do that, there are things inside of that complicated, maybe tiresome reality that we might miss if we avoid it. Like yesterday morning, I was pretty tired, and I thought about skipping my morning walk, and I didn't. I, you know, dragged myself downstairs, bleary eyed, and started walking, stumbling kind of at first, and then I got my rhythm a little bit. And I was still half asleep, and I walked around the corner, and I saw something ahead, looked like an animal, and it was a fox. Foxes are my favorite animal, and I hadn't seen this one before. She was beautiful, long, big, bushy tail, you know, um, just walking in the sidewalk. And I noticed something next to her, and I thought, "What's that?" And it was one of her kits. And they sort of walked into the woods, and I like teared up a little bit because I was so grateful to have seen that. And if I didn't walk into that full catastrophe of I'm gonna do this today, tired and back hurts, and I would have missed that. How much I wonder do we like miss of our lives by saying no to the tiresomeness of it? John Kabat-Zinn, if you've heard of him, not a Zen teacher, but I think a really wise person, developed mindfulness-based stress reduction. Um, Once said about his practice, his daily practice, is that it was beyond wanting to or not wanting to practice. That it was just a thing he committed to and did no matter what the circumstances. Which sounds a whole lot to me like Zazen is good for nothing. So I'm glad that all of you have decided to waste your time with me this morning and to practice this practice that will not help you to achieve your goals, but maybe there's something in it beyond achieving your goals. Maybe there's like an opportunity to actually live your life in an intimate way.